All right. Here's a streamlined, cinematic, and emotionally rich retelling approx. 1,200, 1,350 words in the exact style you requested. Smooth conversational, with just enough bite and realism to make it addictive for an American audience. No artificial breaks, just pure lived-in storytelling. You ever have one of those nights where your life just splits in two? Yeah, I had mine at 2 a.m. And it wasn't some midlife crisis or a bad dream. It was my own driveway gate screaming open like a banshee in the dead of night, loud enough to wake the whole block. My first thought, I swear, was that someone was trying to steal my truck, or maybe the neighbor's garden gnome again. But then reality hit. My gate isn't supposed to open for anyone but me, not after 10 p.m., not without my fingerprint, or the backup code. I buried deep in the firmware, the one I built myself, line by line. So why was it creaking open for a ghost? I grabbed my phone, blinked the sleep out of my eyes, and checked the camera feed, expecting to see some wild raccoon party, or maybe kids being stupid. But all I got was an empty driveway, the gate swinging like it was inviting trouble. The logs clean. No errors, no failed attempts, just wiped. That's when my skin prickled, because whoever did this didn't just break in, they wiped the evidence. And then I saw it a note zip-tied right to the bars. For community access. HOA Compliance Board. Let me tell you, I knew instantly who that was. If there's a Mount Rushmore of meddling neighbors, Linda Prescott's face is on it front and center. Now Linda, she's not your run-of-the-mill busybody. Ever since she bought that big colonial 2 doors down, she's acted like she's the mayor of our little patch of suburbia, handing out flyers, inventing HOA titles for herself, like Vice President of Neighborhood Entry. She's got a clipboard, a yappy dog, and a vision for the community, which mostly means bulldozing anyone who doesn't fit her plan. The real kicker: my property plus 2 others is technically outside the HOA, grandfathered in. But Linda figures she can just redraw the map if she says it with enough confidence and a tray of Costco muffins. So picture me standing out front at sunrise, a cup of coffee in hand, trying to wrap my head around what kind of person hacks a private gate, leaves a neon green note, and then has the nerve to wave at me like she's doing me a favor. Linda strutted up, dog tangling itself around her ankles, and just goes, "Oh, good morning. We fixed your gate. Hope you don't mind." It was so closed off. I almost choked on my coffee. I said, "Fixed. You hacked my system." And she hit me with this sugary smile. "No, honey. We just needed it to be more welcoming for the kids." The board agreed. We rezoned it. Rezoned it. I'm telling you, arguing with Linda is like rebooting a toaster with Wi-Fi. You'll only hurt yourself. I played it cool, but inside I was boiling. What she didn't know was that I'd buried a secret canary in my code, a digital tripwire. As I sipped my coffee, I started scrolling through my encrypted logs. Sure enough, the breach was right there down to the USB's unique signature timestamps. Everything. Security footage. Even better. There was Linda Hoodie, a flashlight in her teeth, plugging a USB into my control box at nearly 1 a.m. And she wasn't alone. There was a guy with her tall nervous kept checking the street. That's the twist. Nobody expects Linda Queen of the bake sale running a midnight hacking operation. But here's where it gets really weird. While I was checking the bushes, I found a tiny black box with a blinking light tucked behind my roses. No markings, no brand, just a Wi-Fi transmitter. and an SD card. I swept the property and found 2 more, one disguised as a motion sensor near my garage, another half buried by the fence. There were 2 sets of footprints, hers and her mystery sidekick's. This wasn't just a neighbor going rogue, this was surveillance. Someone was trying to intercept my home network, maybe even spy on the neighbors too. I dug into HOA records, and boom, there it was. Linda's Neighborhood Safety Access Initiative. Some vague pilot program that gave her permission, so she claimed, to plant tech on border properties for community safety. Supposedly, I'd been notified. I checked every mailbox, every email folder, nothing. Just Linda's note and a bunch of bugs on my lawn. Now I could have just called the cops. But where's the fun in that? I decided to take the fight to Linda on her turf at the Saturday HOA coffee hour, where she holds court in a pastel sweater, acting like she's hosting the Oscars. I showed up, dropped a binder on the table and said, "Thought you all should see this." Pictures of the hacked control panel USB signatures surveillance stills. Linda's face as she realized the crowd was seeing it all. Priceless. She tried to spin it. It was for the children's safety, but nobody was buying it. People started asking, is that even legal? Did you really put things in his yard? The crowd was turning, and Linda, for once, had nothing to say. But I wasn't done. That night, I rebuilt the gate's firmware, laid a digital trap. Any unauthorized access would copy all device data straight to my server and trigger a hidden camera with audio. Sure enough, Linda and her hacker-for-hire came back, tried to override my new setup. The system flashed a red warning, unauthorized access detected. Your device has been logged. You should have seen their faces on the security feed. They bolted, but not before my server vacuumed up everything on their USB lists of problem properties. Color-coded maps, even files, rating the neighbors from compliant to hostile. There I was, top of the high-risk list. Guess I should have felt honored. I posted a sanitized version of the saga on Reddit. Blurred faces changed details, just to see if anyone else had run into this. The internet lost its mind. The story exploded, tech blogs picked it apart. Override Linda became a meme. Still, the bigger shock was when I started scanning for signals and found similar devices on other houses. I knocked on doors, elderly couples, young families. Half of them didn't even know they'd been bugged. The outrage grew, and suddenly, Linda's little safety initiative looked a whole lot like a surveillance state. Next HOA meeting, Linda tried to sell herself as a visionary, talking about pilot programs and misinformation online. I handed out hard copies of the evidence, then sat back as 2 plainclothes investigators walked in, cool as cucumbers, and quietly asked Linda to step outside. She turned white as Chalk tried to make a scene, but they just nodded politely and escorted her out. The room went nuts, people talking over each other, demanding to know what else had been done behind their backs. The board suspended every tech initiative on the spot, and Linda was out pending investigation, they said. Yeah, that happened. You'd think that'd be the end, but Linda couldn't leave well enough alone. 3 weeks later, she rolled up in a black SUV, sunglasses on. Like she's in some bad spy movie, tried to hack my gate one last time. This time, I was ready. The moment she connected her drive, my gate screen flipped open and played a highlight reel. Her break-in, her failed hacks. The HOA meeting footage while my cameras recorded her standing there frozen as neighbors peeked out their windows. She bolted. Didn't even look back, And by the end of the week, she'd resigned from the HOA for good. The board rewrote the bylaws, banned all unauthorized technology, and gave a public apology. For once, the neighborhood felt like ours again, not just hers. Now, every time I walk by that gate, I think about how close I came to losing my own little corner of peace. I left a line of code buried in the firmware, a little message for myself. For Linda, you never controlled the gate. The gate controlled you. So here's what I want to know: is I just protecting my home? Or did I go too far? Where do you draw the line between privacy and community? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because honestly, the line feels thinner every day. And I know I'm not the only one who's had to fight for it.